There is no God but man, because man is the acting agent of God. It's something like God is called the nothingness. It has all the potential in the world, but without a plug or without a machine that actually takes the electricity and turns it into something, it's just what you call stagnant. You see, it's not connected.
All right, peace. What it is, I found this channel last year. She had a video about do you have a destiny or something like that. I can't. Damn, I don't even remember right now. But anyway, she's a quantum physicist. She's a physicist, and she do real good work. You know, she break it down where average people can understand it. So she had this video recently. It's called "It's Time Real." I'm gonna kind of watch it and kind of commentate on it, because essentially my point is how she is catching up, or they, and when I say she, I mean they, the quantum physics physicists of modern times, are catching up to the prophet of the Moorish Science Temple, Nobel Drew Ali, who put the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple, the Circle 7, in the Library of Congress for his people, right, in 1927. All right, he did that because, for a plethora of reasons, but mainly to ensure that his people can get it. You understand what I'm saying? Because if you don't know, the government infiltrated the Moorish Science Temple and turned it. COINTELPRO originated really with the Moorish Science Temple. You understand what I'm saying? So, not trying to get into all that, but just to show you the genius of the man. Okay, and so let me just read a little bit of this so you can understand my point. He comes. This is like the 4th page. It's chapter 1. There's a couple things before this. You can come here. I came here specifically, as everybody. You got to do is Google it. You can come here and you can find it. You ain't got to go buy it paid, because I know how people is. Well, you got to pay for the information. They're so ignorant. Whatever. So he opens up with, "Time never was when man was not. If the life of man at any time began, a time will come when it would end. The thoughts of Allah cannot be circumscribed." All right. So what he's saying here is, you as a man, and if we read it all, which I'm trying to, for the sake of brevity, I don't believe I will, but he's saying that you are a thought of Allah, a thought, and that's just a name for God. If you want to say God as a Christian, what you're saying is the Hebrew word Elohim, and Elohim is the Hebrew version of the word Allah. It's the same word. Eloha is the root. So Elohim, him is the suffix, and makes the word plural. Hence, when you say God, you're speaking of the 7 planets, really. But here we go. I'm really not trying to get into that. The point is these quantum physics, right? Is time real? Is agreeing with the prophet from 100 years ago, who said time never was when man was not. And the reason he's saying this, and what he's saying is, time is essentially a construct created by man to keep track of what's going on. It's a record keeper, hence it is your DNA. Okay, if you don't know, your DNA is made up of a whole bunch of letters. It's like the greatest library of existence, your DNA. Okay, because it has been in time forever, because we are spiritual beings, and this physical realm is but a point in time in which one aspect of us exists. But we are infinite in our truest nature, because we come from the Most High, the ultimate creator of all. Okay, so let me just share with you this before we get to the sister who is in agreement with the prophet. Okay, and hold on, watch this.
Is money. It's also running out. unless possibly it's on your side. Time flies, time is up. We talk about time all the time. But does anybody actually know what it is?
It's 3:30.
That's not
3:30. It's 3. That's the joke, right? Do y'all peep that? Now, I'm not saying nothing about the sister. I see her doing the hand signs and things. But people do that when they thinking. Sometimes it's not everybody's not down with the down. You know what I mean? But I thought it was funny that it was 3:30 of all times, right? Well, whatever. Let's watch this. You understand the point, Pete?
But then, what do physicists mean if they say time is not real, as for example Lee Smolin has argued? As I have discussed in a series of earlier videos, we call something real in scientific terms if it is a necessary ingredient of a theory that correctly describes what we observe.
All right, people, she just said. She said we call something real if it is a necessary ingredient of a theory that correctly describes what we observe. Okay, none of that tells you how and why something works. So you see, these people's foundation for studying is like all off. You understand? They don't seem to believe that there is a cause. So they're just trying to find a slick way to describe everything without really trying to figure out how it works, why it works, and really what's going on. So they call things real to fit their theories. And their theories are descriptions of what they see. You see what I'm saying? Not that it's not an explanation of what's going on. It's a description of what you see. You see? So, understand when she continues in the example that she uses, right? Peep this.
Quarks, for example, are real not because we can see them, we cannot, but because they are necessary to correctly describe what particle physicists measure at the Large Hadron Collider.
Okay, you understand what quarks are? Quarks are what they call dark matter. Okay? This is supposed to be the hidden glue type substances that hold together atoms. Okay? This is their explanation for your reality. So she just told you that quarks aren't real, but they're real in the scientific terms that they fit the descriptive theory of the observation. You understand? Do you understand? And if you don't, we finna go to another book, Future Science, by Maurice Cotterell, right? Peep this. It's gonna be a couple minutes. You really understand what you believe. You understand what I'm saying? How these people come to teach you in your schools what is real in science. The 12 great mysteries of physics. You can be forgiven for believing that Isaac Newton discovered the force that makes apples fall to the ground, but he did not. He simply gave that force a name, gravity, and noticed the strength of that force, whatever it may be, depends upon the size of the apple, which he referred to as M1, as mass 1, M1, and the size of the earth, mass 2, M2. He also figured out that the strength of the force of the apple depends on how far away the apple is from the earth to begin with, and noted, like Galileo before him, that as an apple falls, it speeds up and travels faster and faster until it hits the ground. Okay, did you catch that? It says that he simply gave it a name, gravity, and noted its strength. So he had a theory, he gave it a name, and then he developed a calculation that supported it. Ain't that the exact same thing she said? It's the exact same thing she said. We call something real because it fits our theories. for our observations. You understand what I'm saying? So is gravity real? Let's keep going. At first, Newton set down the relationship between the force and the mass in a shorthand way, a formula, saying that F, the strength of the force, could be found by multiplying m1 by m2 and then dividing the results by the distance between them squared. There was just one problem. Every time he did the calculation, he finished up with the wrong answer. He discovered that the only way to get the right answer was to multiply the wrong answer by 667 billionths. 666. He did not know where this tiny amount of force came from, but just like he had done with gravity, he gave the mysterious number a name, the gravitational constant, G. Did you hear that? Okay. He did not know where this tiny amount of force came from. But just as he done with gravity, he gave it a name. Now it's real. You see? You peeping? Okay, this is what they didn't taught you in school as being 100% fact, even though they have called it a theory. Keep going. Making his final formula for the force, F equals G times M1 times M2 divided by distance squared. It is hard to believe that since then, for more than 350 years, still no one understands what gravity is, what causes it, or why we have to multiply the wrong answer by G to get the right one. And to this day, no one understands what G is or even where it comes from. That's how sophisticated we are. No one understands why objects fall to the ground. So you see, they don't know nothing. It's people. They don't know nothing. So, you remember she said quarks, right? Quarks were real, right? Let me show you why it's real. I'm gonna keep reading. Show you this paragraph right here. The second most embarrassing problem for modern science is that no one understands why the positive charges inside the middle of the atom simply do not spring apart. Figure 1, which I'll show in a second. Which is what you would expect given that positive repels positive. To overcome the contradiction, physics decided that the positive charge must in some way be glued together. So for the past 75 years have been searching for the glue, or more precisely, more than 300 types of glue, but have yet to find any. All right. So this glue is what holds together the quarks. All right. You dig? The glue that holds the world together. Go down here. You see how protons made simply of 3 small particles called quarks, right? And let me just sum this up for you real quick. Let me show you this real quick little quote. It's only at the crudest level that the proton is made of 3 quarks. When you look closer and get inside these clouds and start seeing the basic structure, which they've never done, because she just told you they've never seen these, but he's talking about something he made up in his theory that they make up in their theories. You see that it is mostly glue. They have no idea what this glue is. It's just glue, and that's what they're searching for to fit their theory of gravity. Okay, gravity is what keeps your Earth close to the sun while it's spinning, and keeps the moon close to you, and keeps the water on the earth, and all this old bull that they've been spinning to you, these theories that are real. You understand what I'm telling you? Okay, so watch her finish explaining what that time is real in the same conceptual way that gravity is, based on that it is a theory, or it is a word of art, a descriptive word that fits a theory. Okay, that's what's real. So Watch.
Time, for the same reason, is real because it's a necessary ingredient for Einstein's theory of general relativity to correctly describe observations.
Alright, so you see, time only exists because of Einstein's theory of general relativity. Your boy Einstein with his hidden hand friend. Look at his partner standing next to him. Right? It's your boy Einstein who sticks his tongue out because that's a Freemasonic symbol. And he writes 6 minus 3 equals 6. Because he low key showing you 6, 6. You understand what I'm saying? Oh, 3 6 is 666. You see? It's low key trying to let y'all know what it is because he's a puppet put on. And you know he ain't right in the head because he the one who began a relationship with his cousin. And I believe just for some quick clarity real quick because I didn't even realize how crazy this shit was. Okay. Elsa Einstein was Albert Einstein's wife. She was also his first cousin, and he cheated on her a lot. Listen to this. Yeah, that. Check it out. Elsa Einstein was born Elsa Einstein on that day. This is not a mistake. Elsa's father was Rudolf Einstein, the cousin of Albert Einstein's father. So this is her father was Albert Einstein's father's cousin. So they second cousins by that. Listen, that's not as strange as it gets though. Her mother and Albert's mother were also sisters. So Elsa and Albert were actually first cousins too, nigga. That is absolutely disgusting. She was his cousin on his daddy's side. She was the son of her daddy's cousin, a daughter of her daddy's cousin. Then she was his cousin on her mama's side. Now, when we tell you that all these people in the so-called elite, the so-called Illuminati, woo-de-woo, all do inbreeding to keep it in the family. Here it is right here. He married a woman that was his cousin on his daddy's side and his mama's side. That's disgusting. Then apparently, he left her for her 20-year-old daughter. Hello. Allegedly viewed father figure developed an infatuation with her eldest daughter. One of the most startling revelations, Albert had considered breaking off his engagement to Elsa and proposing to her 20-year. Oh my God. This guy is the foundation. The foundational physicist. The foundational theoretical. I can't even.
He received the 1921 Nobel Prize in Physics for his services to theoretical physics, and especially for his discovery of the law of the photoelectric effect. 10. A pivotal step in the development of quantum theory. Pivotal step in the development of quantum theory. Quantum theory. Quantum theory.
Wow, man, that's disgusting. Okay? So, their whole foundation of studying is based on general relativity, which is based on Newton's law of gravity, which I just told you how that is real because they deemed it real because of their theories for their observations. You see? So you see how these people don't know anything. And so you see why time is not real, which takes us back to Nobel Drew Ali when it says time never was and man was not. Okay, so without reading all this, let me just drop down to this. I'd suggest you do read all this once again. That's why I came to the Library of Congress. That way everybody can go to this. You know, you don't have to go get it from nobody. You can get it for yourself. Okay, man is a thought of Allah. All thoughts of Allah are infinite. They are not measured up by time, for things that are concerned with time begin and end. This is why we're not concerned with those types of questions, because we know deep down what we are. But man, like every other thought of Allah, was but a seed that held within itself the potencies of Allah, just as the seed of any plant on earth holds deep within itself the attributes of every part of that special plant. So spirit man, as a seed of Allah, Allah held deep within himself the attributes of every part of Allah. You see?
So we call on them and all, but it's the same energy, and that's the thing we have to drive home, because we don't get it. We are the gods who are to come is our own self. That's what the whole Christ mechanism is all about. You see what I'm saying? There is no God but man, because man is the acting agent of God. It's something like God is called the nothingness. It has all the potential in the world, but without a plug or without a machine that actually takes the electricity and turns it into something, it's just what you call stagnant. You see, it's not connected. So we are the agent, or what you would call the perfecting agent of God, of the nothing. So therefore, we don't supposed to be bound down to the nothingness, because the nothingness put itself in motion as us to do what the hell it wants. But somehow in his journey to do what he wants, he got hit in the damn head, and the other part got separated, and the other part looking back thinking that's God, and it's the same damn shit.
See? So, long story short, let me finish up with these physicists and show you how the whole study of quantum physics is based on a faulty foundation, a theoretical foundation that will never be proven, because it was just some cockamamie idea from a mathematician. You see, you can create anything in your head and then create a mathematical problem to fit it if you're a genius. And it's not just me saying that this stuff doesn't make any sense. She says it.
However, we know that general relativity is not fundamentally the correct theory.
See? What'd I tell you? Fundamentally not the correct theory. But yet they based the rest of their research off of the theory. See? See how they contradict themselves? Makes no sense.
By this I mean that this theory has shortcomings that have so far not been resolved, notably singularities and the incompatibility with quantum theory. For this reason, most physicists, me included, think that general relativity is only an approximation to a better theory called quantum gravity.
Okay, so peep how they think. Special relativity by Einstein is based on gravity by Newton. But special relativity is incompatible with quantum theory. So they decide to try to find quantum gravity. So essentially they mixing the old theory of gravity with the new theory of quantum mechanics. Makes no sense.
We don't yet have a theory of quantum gravity, but there is no shortage of speculations about what its properties may be. And one of the properties that it may have is that it does not have time. So this is what physicists mean when they say time is not real. They mean that time may not be an ingredient of the to-be-found theory of quantum gravity, or, if you're even more ambitious, a theory of everything. Time then exists only on an approximate emergent level. Personally, I find it misleading to say that in this case time is not real. It's like claiming that because our theories for the constituents of matter don't contain chairs, chairs are not real. That doesn't make any sense.
This is where I believe their thinking is fundamentally flawed, because her example was, that's like saying a chair isn't real because we don't use a chair within our fundamental understanding of the way matter is constituted. But the thing is, a chair isn't real because we know that chairs in matter and things that we see in general are only made up of atoms right, that formed molecules that created, this structure that we see. So we know that physical reality is an illusion because we know that fact. You see? So that statement would be true, Cherish, wouldn't be real in that scenario. You see? Which is why time isn't real. But see, since they can't, they don't seem to want to grasp that concept, that it's another realm from which the physical comes. You see, that manifested the physical. Light came out of darkness. All they can study and all they can focus on is the light in itself. You see what I mean? So I just think, and you'll see why, as she keeps talking, you'll see that the path in which they take, and the train of thought which they going down, is leading them nowhere but to more theories. To peep.
But leaving aside that it's bad terminology, is it right that time might fundamentally not exist? I have to admit, it's not entirely implausible. That's because one of the major reasons why it's difficult to combine quantum theory with general relativity is that time is a dimension in general relativity.
All right, so you see, according to Einstein, time is a dimension. And you see that time etymologically means to divide. That's where you get the Greek term daemon. See, it is a divider of destiny. The daemon, the demon, the demiurge. You see, so now, according to Einstein, that's an actual dimension next to width, breadth, and height. So they've essentially made Satan real, because Satan is the adversary, the demiurge, who keeps you away from your destiny, which is to live and to be in the now, because there's no such thing as time, past or present. You see, but according to modern science and these physicists, we live in a linear time in which there was a big bang and evolution, blah, 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 as opposed to you always being and time never being when man was not, like the prophet said. See?
In quantum mechanics, on the other hand, time is not a dimension. It's not even something you can measure. It's not unobservable, as the physicists say. In fact, in quantum mechanics, it is entirely unclear how to answer a seemingly simple question like, what is the probability for the arrival time of a laser signal?
All right, so you see these people really have no idea what they're talking about, long and short of it. Essentially, the problem is they don't want to give any credence to divine order. Okay? They want to keep the idea of this Big Bang, this accidental collision of planets or what have you, spun off and made of Earth, and then evolution, and then linear time, and etc., etc. No order in creation. But watch as she goes on and all this, watch the ultimate conclusion that they come to, or that they are coming to, based on their findings, right? And that is that there is a network behind what we call reality.
Another possibility that physicists have discussed is that deep down, the universe and everything in it is a network. What we usually call space-time is merely an approximation to the network in cases when the network is particularly regular. There are actually quite a few approaches that use this idea. The most recent one is Stephen Wolfram's hypergraphs. Finally, I should mention Jordan Bell, who has argued